The team at Poets and Quants, through the course of a year, we organize festivals for the full-time MBA program and for specialized masters, wonderful, talented individuals from all over the world sharing their stories. But I have a very special place in my heart for the Exec MBA Festival. I get to meet individuals extraordinarily accomplished, achieving great things, not just at work, but perhaps in their communities. And here they are, they've made this commitment, a very purposeful and intentional commitment to go back to business school. And as you'll discover in this next session, we have a wonderful example. It's my pleasure to welcome Stefano Mefreni. Stefano is the founder and director of Accelerate. He might not tell you this, but he was named COO of the Year for excellence in global scaling solutions by CEO Monthly, and as the CEO of Megatron Seniors. His job title, I love it. It identifies operations and strategy, people, product, innovation, biz dev, pretty much every aspect of an executive MBA. From his studies, he's also carved out the time as a trustee of Coram Beanstalk, helping children to become effective readers. You see what I mean about the caliber of individuals that the London Business School is welcoming into its Exec MBA. And the first point of welcome is Rachel Pryor, a senior global student recruitment manager in the school. As I said, for many talented candidates, she is the first point of contact when reaching out to LBS about the Exec MBA and the Sloan programs. And honestly, viewers, you couldn't hope for a better place to start. So welcome, both of you. Rachel, LBS holds a special place in your heart. Tell us about the school and what makes it so special.
Great. Well, firstly, thank you so much for having me. I will find any excuse to talk about our EMBAs as much as I can. So what a perfect platform to be able to do so. So at LBS, it's been a very exciting time for us. So we've recently celebrated our 60th anniversary. And what's been really, really impactful is actually being able to see all of our alumni community coming together to celebrate this in numerous ways. For me, the alumni community is the main goal and the main aim of the school. It's extremely international. I think you would struggle to go anywhere in the world and not be able to find an alumni from the school who will be able to connect you. The school itself, as you may know, we have our main campus over at Regent's Park, which is a beautiful, leafy little area of London, around a 20-minute walk from the chaos of Oxford Circus. And then you also have our Dubai campus, and we also have our partnership with Columbia Business School, where we deliver our dual EMBA program. So between those three hubs, it's really, really important for us to keep our community connected and really make sure that we're empowering those leaders for the future as well.
One of your star professors, Rachel, Linda Grattan, talks about all of us living to over 100 and leading purposeful lives. That must be something that you already get a sense of with your EMBA candidates, that sense of purpose, impact, accomplishing so much.
It really does. And I think the campus is a really important place to visit for anyone who hasn't done so already. And I know me and you previously have talked about this concept of imposter syndrome and how you would feel when you went to that campus. And I remember starting at the school over 3 years ago now. I remember the legacy and the rankings speaking for themselves. And I remember building myself up thinking, wow, I can't believe I'm going to play such a small part in the journey for these candidates. How exciting. But the mood on campus is the complete opposite to what I was expecting. Yes, it's really exciting to be surrounded by all of these amazing people, and you'll have the founders of certain ventures just walking past, or you'll have the professors like Linda sitting down for a coffee in the cafe, and you can just sit down and engage in those conversations. But you really feel as though the environment is incredibly collaborative. Everyone is excited to be there. The program, as Stefano can of course talk to, is extremely rigorous, particularly from the EMBA side when you're balancing all of the plates. But because of that, it's just a fun, exciting place to be with lots of opportunities.
Stefano, I almost feel that you could have been at the front of the classroom and sharing perspectives on global scaling solutions. No doubt it's the magic of classmates, but you're having a very successful career. So what initially inspired you to pursue the Executive MBA, and ultimately, of course, what led you to LBS?
Sure. Well, doing an MBA had been in my mind for a number of years, and finally I had moved to London. I moved to London in 2008, and a couple of years later I had this opportunity. I said, I'm in London. There are a lot of business schools, and so I can finally pursue that that intention, that dream. And the reason why I wanted to do this, because I always felt something was missing, and I wanted to give a structure of what I knew already and build on those skills in terms of like hard skills, if you want. But then, of course, I discovered much that an MBA is much more. And in why I chose LBS. Of course, there are many business schools in London, but I chose actually the one where I couldn't be on in the first in the first seat sharing things. I chose the one where I felt a bit down. Because I think at the end of the MBA, you do only one MBA in your life, I think, unless I mean, but not that I wouldn't do it again, but I would do. I'll not regret any second of it. But doing it twice, I think it's a bit mad. But anyway, but apart from that, I think you only do it once. And if you don't take the opportunity to challenge yourself, it's a bit of a wasted time. You're not there to be the first of the class. Yeah, you are there to build on your experience, especially if you are doing an executive MBA. So you get there with your, where you are probably mid-career. I had maybe already 10, 12 years of experience at that time. And I had this class full of people with now coming from different geographies, different industries, different roles. Many were more senior than I was at the time. So everything was a learning experience. So if I had to point to, no, there are many reasons why you choose one school, and there are of course budgeting considerations, commuting considerations, and no, but I also consider no the elective portfolio. Yeah, that was LBS is huge. Or for example, how much they invest in the alumni community, which Rachel mentioned. But if I had at the end to point to the one thing that make me no, that's it, that's my place, it's because I was feel a bit dumb. I was looking around to the other five. I'm not the first. No, I'm not in the top of class. I don't feel I am the top of class. So I need to. So which means it's a huge opportunity of learning. So that if I had to point to one thing, that's the one.
I'm going to whisper to our viewers that you got the perfect 110 grades at the University of Napoli. So I love the modesty. Now, the executive MBA arrives at a fascinating moment, Stefano, and you described it. Something was missing. You could have bought yourself a Jaguar E-Type or perhaps a Maserati and driven to the Amalfi Coast. But that sense of wanting structure, did you know what you wanted to learn?
That's the other point, right? I remember someone once asked me if someone what do you wish now you knew before you started the MBA? And of course at that time, well, I graduated in 2012. No, they depicted your everyone, any business school. You had this straight line. No, find yourself, choose what to do, and get it. Then, of course, you start find yourself and you're stuck, right? Because yeah, and it's more kind of so the idea I had is a huge desire, this kind of, if you want, strategic intent to becoming something different. I, of course, when you start, they ask you to articulate what you want, and I had in my mind to become the chief strategy or chief marketing officer in a telecom operator, which I find extremely boring today. So it was basically an extension, or no, I was magnifying what I was doing at the time. I was a product manager in the telco industry, so this is to say that you don't need to have no, don't feel bad if you don't have this straight arrow in your mind, because you are probably like most of your cohorts at the end. And the MBA is part of a journey of discovery at the end. It takes, of course, a lot of resources of any sort, but at the end you get out on the other end that you are totally different from when you start, and it's a kind of process in the middle that expands, narrows, and then you focus on the way.
That sense, Rachel, of discovery, exploring, opening new doors and opportunities. Tell us a little bit about perhaps students like Stefano, so that, the classes that run through the year. Also, then how they can personalize through specific concentrations or electives that they can choose.
Sure, it's a great question. And I think really the great starting point and the biggest piece that I can provide anyone who's looking at multiple schools, multiple EMBAs, is to speak with your recruitment and admissions team where possible and really let them deep dive into everything about you because each program will have its own niche. So, for instance, with us, we have the EMBA London stream, we have the EMBA Global stream, and we have EMBA Dubai. And we have different iterations of London and Dubai. We have fully in person and we have blended, which is essentially part of your learning is going to be on campus and the remainder is going to be delivered through blended sessions. However, with the EMBA Global program, this is the dual MBA that we have with Columbia Business School. And for us, we would really encourage students to only really look at this if they want to have that US focus, if they really want to be able to leverage those elements. If it's not the right program for someone, we will be honest and we will say, look, we actually think we have a particular alternative which you're going to be better suited for. With London and Dubai, you'll see the same curriculum, you'll see the same faculty. So the faculty have the very painful job of flying between London and Dubai and taking that time. But it's an incredible experience to be able to almost have the expertise of that faculty on a different campus and being able to really tailor your experience. The cohorts for those cores are of course slightly different. So with the Dubai stream, you're going to have a slightly more Asian, Middle East, and African focused market. With the London stream, it's going to be slightly more European in terms of the commuters, just due to the delivery of the program. Each cohort is around 50 to 55, which I actually think is a really perfect number in terms of being able to build those intimate connections and being able to really make sure that you're having that diverse range. In terms of the students that come to us, I think there can almost be a perception that business school is for people who have gone through a traditional corporate route. So maybe they have gone through their career in financial services or consulting. And Stefano said, you're then at the point where you're exploring an MBA, but you realize actually I'm probably past the point of doing a full-time program. An executive program is going to be much more relevant for me. So I think upon looking at these, it's then time to think, okay, well, who do I want to be in the classroom with? And I think the key for us is we want every single person to feel as they're a minority in that classroom, from their industry, from their trajectory, from what they're looking to do, from where they're based, from what they're doing. We're very fortunate with London that it's a cultural melting pot in itself. So the majority of Londoners that we have on the programme will not have always been born in the UK and working in the UK, which just really diversifies that cohort slightly more. And as Stefano touched on, the elective portfolio that we have is humongous. It's so large that I think you have to start thinking about those electives quite early on. And of course, there are going to be some which are going to be very specific to your role or your outcomes, which you'll be planning for some time. There are some modules, such as a negotiation elective, which are rock star modules at the school that everyone wants to do just because they are so notorious and everyone comes out completely transformed. And because of these electives, you can really tailor the program between London, Dubai, you can bid to study over in Colombia, and you'll be studying with students who are on all different programs within the school. So you've got your immediate cohort of 50, your immediate support system when you start for the first 9 months or so, and then you're really diversifying your network as much as you can. And that networking piece is as important as the academic side that you're going to be studying as well.
Stefano, you made a very thoughtful, a very intentional choice to go back to school. In terms of that learning experience, that some of those rock star professors at the front, but presumably a lot of the learning takes place with everybody sitting next to you and this extraordinary diversity that Rachel was describing. So describe to us, going back to school and what the learning experience was like for you.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm still going back because I'm looking at because LBS gives alumni the opportunity to sign up for electives. I'm still in contact with my operation professor, but I can touch upon this later. But I think going back to school, of course, you go back with a different self, if you want, right? So and the way of teaching, you get these people who couple a rigorous academic approach with real life business experience, and the lectures are super interactive. I mean, you can't get away, you can't stay in the shadow because you get cold. Right, so you need to do your readings and really join the discussions. And sometimes you just learn by the way other people ask questions. Oh, I didn't think about it. Oh, no, and so for me it was really really exciting because it's a very no, I don't know how to call it, active way of learning rather than getting a stream of information one way, one mono, no, directional. Yeah, for me was really a new way to engage my brain, which is not the same when you go back to the office. So that's probably one of the things. The good of an executive MBA is that you study, you get the lectures over the weekend, and basically on Monday you can apply those in your job.
Mm.
The flip side of that is that, of course, on the weekend you stay probably, you talk to one of the top 50 thinker in business, and on Monday you're back in the office, right? So like, which probably you want to leave because otherwise you wouldn't be doing MBA, or you want to change something, right? So that's but that's, I would say, an opportunity, and of course, if you also realize whether your office is conducive for you, your job is really a place where what I'm doing outside is appreciated. Yeah, and so that's but it's a good way, because also the MBA gives you a safe environment to make mistakes.
Right. Interesting. Now,
Yeah.
perhaps you took a negotiation course. Maybe, you now master balance sheets. Beyond the more technical learning, I'd love to take Florin's course on private equity. Is there something that you've learned about yourself, whether as a leader, your self-confidence, the way that you address people, something that feels far more personal than in a textbook?
Yeah, of course, there are many learning points beyond the hard skills, of course. And one is if you want surviving through the MBA, or no, matching because it's not just job and business school, it's job and family and friends, and yeah, so you need to be very disciplined with your schedule.
Hmm.
It's up to you. At the end, you get out of an MBA in proportion how much you put in. But you also know that it's kind of concentrated in a fixed time period. The first year is a bit more intense. You have more exams. The pace is quite sustained. The second year is a bit less so you can explore maybe with some of the electives. I took negotiation and bargaining, by the way, and actually it helped me leaving my company at the time. That was actually quite a key point. um, but I would say once you're at the end, you look at yourself in a totally different way. And so, yeah, now I can do really a lot with my time. Yeah, whether that's business or other things. And I actually can do it. There's no problem that you think you can't solve. Of course, then you can't solve everything. But the way you approach things is you feel sitting on this mountain of knowledge, or which is yours or easily accessible. But that's the other point. The alumni community, tens of thousands of people around the world, are really, it's a bunch of good people, approachable. I mean, if anytime I send an email, I get a response back. Yeah, there's no reason why I shouldn't respond to even to a prospective student, or no. It's just a matter of having time, or no, and so you can, yeah, you have an issue on from what ERP should I choose to, yeah, how do you manage this type of situations, and you get always some kind of response. So, or my ops professor, now that I'm a CEO. Right. So, but it's not something it's these are relationships that stay there for forever. It's really a life long thing. And again, it's something you nurture, not by convenience, but you really get in touch with people, and they can be your sounding board. At some point, I had my personal board of directors in terms of what should I do next, what should I look for next in my career, and you find there part of those. So it's an experience I would recommend to everyone.
It sounds so intuitive. It sounds so logical, Rachel, when we think of Stefano and others reaching this mountain peak, surrounded by an extraordinary wealth of knowledge, an incredibly supportive wealth of knowledge, having his own personal board of directors, because there are other options that are available to people. You might say, well, in a world of AI, I'm just going to upskill and take a few online courses. So what is that differentiator, this investment in yourself and the exec MBA that brings everything together in such a magical and transformational way?
It's a really good question. And I think you're right. I think there are so many, not necessarily alternative options, but different ways of upskilling that knowledge quickly and being able to almost plug in those elements that you would want to upskill in, like AI or looking into sustainability, for instance. But for me, I think the journey that I typically see with our EMBA candidates who are approaching us and wanting to explore the program further, it's not just this professional aspect of looking to move to the next level or looking to pivot or looking to establish their own venture. I think there's such a personal investment in the program. As Stefano said, it's almost a full reflection on you and everything that you've done to date. And you will probably join the program with one idea in mind and change your mind midway through. And I think the careers team definitely need to be referenced for the school as well, because I think they work in such a unique way compared to the other programs that we have at the school. So candidates will have a one-on-one advisor, and you can have unlimited sessions with the team. So many of the sessions are built into the time that you're on campus, but many of them you can organise online in your own time. And each careers advisor will be a specialist in their own field with their own network and their own pool of connections. And the aim of the careers team isn't to find out EMBAs a job or a new role within the program. It's to work on those soft skills and to work on your leadership style. And they essentially will act as connectors. So just giving you the room and the space to explore, however much room and space you can have when you're adding an EMBA into your very busy life already in that sense. So typically I would say the thing with an EMBA is it is a huge commitment. It's extremely rigorous. You're going to be incredibly busy adding all of these elements onto your plate. But the lifetime ROI on the program, you have this incredible international global network that you know that you're always going to be able to utilize, whether it's a personal support system or whether you need to bounce some ideas off of someone else, for instance. And I think almost that more qualitative support that you can have as being on the program is just as important as someone who has maybe spent 15, 20 years in the C-suite and they're looking to almost backfill their CV with these academic qualifications because they never got around to studying a master's. So the opportunities you can take, what you want to from the program, as Stefano can talk more to the array of student clubs that we have. Some are very industry focused, geography focused, hobby focused, but these will really engage you in different ideas and different ways of thinking and just thinking outside the box and just being open to different opportunities.
Well, Stefano, you're already familiar with London, but for others that are joining the program and they have this extraordinary city on their doorstep, how does that then perhaps strengthen the interaction with your classmates, the clubs, events? There's probably more going on than you could possibly fit into your schedule. But what does that bring to the overall experience?
Yeah, I mean, the point of the MBA, as I said earlier, is not just learning hard skills or not give structure to what you know and build up on that. It's that there's a network, no, there's a network you can access, but the alumni club, the students club, and there is also an alumni club. There are also alumni clubs add to your discovery journey. So, for example, during that time, I realized that clubs were more geared towards full-time MBAs. and all the events were even the time were organized during the week and during the lunchtime, the full-time MBA lunchtime. So we're not easily accessible to executive MBAs. So I kind of try to push for more involvement of more senior students in the clubs, and I joined the marketing club, the industry club, the Italian club. I also held a lecture on how to cook carbonara for the cooking club.
Going to ask you about that
Yeah,
recipe.
yeah, and that gives you also a platform. Gave me a platform to, I don't know. I wanted to organize a series of events targeting executive MBA students, and so no round table, and they gave me the excuse, if you want, to approach senior executive in Rolls-Royce or in large corporates, and put them together in a panel, talk about how to synchronize sales and marketing, how to make operations more successful, and so it's if you want, it's part of that give and take. It helps your discovery journey. It gives you a platform to go out and talk to people you wouldn't reach otherwise. And yeah, of course, then I was privileged to be already in London, 30-minute commute from Regent's Park. So that was much easier to me to fit in the schedule of the second year. Though first year was a bit difficult to have that more let's say constantly.
My guess is that these EMBA students have even more energy than those Masters in Management students that are 22, 23 years old at the start of their career. Rachel, this idea of, bringing together this extraordinary diversity across industries, across experiences, cultures. One of our readers has talked about his own technical background. So just from the admissions perspective, and a reminder, I think, to anyone that's watching us, of how you embrace those different experiences. So someone very technical background and is asking how important is it to then demonstrate a leadership journey? I'd also like to think about the gender balance that you look to also achieve in the program, and perhaps someone that has stepped away from their professional career, they've started a family, maybe a year, 2 years, that the Exec MBA could be a very powerful way to then kickstart and come back into the market, right? So just thinking about admissions, anything from that leadership perspective that you really want to see in their profile applying to the program, and then you could be at so many different life points, and the EMBA as a very natural way to get back into the job market.
It really is. And I think typically when people hear leadership experience, they think about people management or they think of management of a team. Whereas for us, we want to see that leadership almost style, but ownership over a certain area, whether it's budgets, whether it's products, whether it's projects, anything that's applicable. And it's mainly about that classroom contribution piece. So we want to be able to feel as though you're going to be in that classroom. And of course, when you're from a technical background, it can be quite interesting because on one hand, you are an expert in your field, but sometimes you can work quite siloed. So there's an area of, okay, well, how transferable is my knowledge going to be to this classroom? So I would say, if in doubt, I would look into any area where you have ownership or key stakeholder responsibility over a function and bring that into your application. From my experience with the EMBA, yes, your experience and your progress to date is a huge element of the program, arguably the most important when we're looking at your application, but there's also key areas like essay questions where, yes, we can see your professional experience from your CV, but we want to know what makes you tick. We want to know your why. We want to know why you're doing the program. And we appreciate that one of the main drivers for a lot of candidates who are from a technical field looking into an EMBA is because they don't necessarily want to feel as though they're going to be pigeonholed, or they want to feel as though they're going to be slightly more horizontal. So for us, we would always encourage you as a first step, just speak with us. We can tease out your CV. We can really look at that application and make sure that you feel confident when you're going into that classroom. If you feel as though you have plenty to gain as much as contribute, then it will be the place for you. It's incredibly diverse. And as I touched on earlier, the classroom, we have medical doctors, we have lawyers, we have people who have essentially been a one-man band for 20 years. We have a real variety of candidates in the classroom. each worrying whether this is going to be the right room for them. But actually, it is, because it's incredibly exciting. And I think there are just so many different viewpoints that you can gain, and the portfolio and the curriculum is so diverse to do so. So, one area of that, I would say leadership. Do not immediately panic that it's related to people management. It's you as a leader, what you're going to be working with, and what you're contributing so far. And in
Mm.
terms of that gender piece, obviously it's a huge talking point across all of the EMBAs in particular, because women do get to a certain age where naturally they will start to have a family and naturally they'll take time off. I have two children myself, and I personally have felt the impact of feeling sometimes frustrated that I have to bargain with my husband or family members to look after the kids so I can do extra things. And it's really, really hard to juggle that. But I think the key thing with being in an EMBA classroom is, yes, everyone has a lot of work experience, but everyone also has ample life experience in that classroom. And you're all going to be sharing the load. You're all there to support each other. And Stefano, of course, can talk to this more than I can because he has been in the classroom. But my observation, it's a pressure cooker. You know, you have that limited time together. And because of that, your relationships just amplify and you manage to forge those bonds and those connections really quickly. And to be able to see the progress of women on the program. We have a lady who graduated last year who had a child on the program and graduated with a distinction. And I'm not saying that that's the norm and that's what people should be doing, but actually that's quite a nice point in your life when you can look back and say, I managed to have a child, raise a family, I took that time out of work, and I was focusing on my study essentially. So for us, if someone is out of work, whether it's on maternity leave, whether extended leave, we would absolutely still want to engage in those conversations because everyone's experience and their point of entering the program is so unique. And I do not think there is ever a perfect time to start an EMBA. It's a huge thing to take on, but sometimes I think you just have to take that step and you just have to go for it. And I think the end results will speak for themselves.
Can
Well,
I
my
add, can
final,
I, can I
please,
add a couple
Stefano.
of words in terms of when you prepare your application, it's not you're not sending, I don't know, an application to something and then you hope you get extracted, right? So it's really an interactive process, and make it as interactive as you can, because the admission team is not there to cut you out, right?
Mm.
But it's there to help you. And again, the one thing, one of my problems, I was a product manager when I applied, and the product manager is that tricky role where they sell it to you as, oh, you are the CEO of your product, but you have no people, you have not, right? So am I really a leader? But then I realized I didn't manage people, but I had to influence a number of stakeholders to get my product approved, launched, and I was not, and so I was exposed to finance, legal, operations, sales, marketing. So yeah, so they really help you to look at things from a different perspective. So
Mm.
make that as interactive as you can. It's not a taboo like, oh, if I ask these days, no, I open to my weaknesses. Don't think about it.
Mm.
It's really a different thing.
Yeah. So, Stefano, my final question as we're wrapping up, it takes us back to the beginning of the discussion. There you were, you came in as a product manager, you walk out with a Megatron under your arm. Just think about that for a moment. But advice that you would have given yourself. So, two pieces of advice. As we think about the ROI, you talked about, the resources, there's a major investment that you're making. And then having lived through this experience, so some of those intangible aspects of ROI that you've observed, but also, one thing, it's like, if it was for no other reason, I would have done it for this. So ROI, and then just one aspect of the program to die for.
Okay, so ROI, as you kind of alluded to, it depends what you think is an investment and how you measure the return. So I would say the mistake that maybe some people risk to make is to balance, let's say, how much does it cost and how much will I earn one day after the MBA, right? And that puts a lot of pressure on yourself, first of all, to find that role that, yeah. But because you are a different self, so and I think you are much more than your salary at the same time, right? So there are so many things that you need to put together. So for me, it was, yeah, thanks to negotiation and bargaining, I get a good bargain when I left the company. Yeah, thanks to finance 1 and 2, I didn't even choose electives in finance. I maybe got some investment, good, no, in some good investment, and yeah. So how can you really measure that? You get. I must confess, I had my Excel the first years, but then I said this is useless. It's not the right way to measure things. So my really piece of advice is don't think about return on investment as a financial thing, because it's much more complex than that. And then in terms of, yeah, the one thing that maybe with hindsight, I know I would, why I would do that again and again if I came back, why I have no regrets. I don't regret that 1 second of that experience. Is That's a difficult question though. So I would say it's beyond those 2 years. Yeah. So take a long-term stance. And beyond those 2 years that are where you leave your cocoon and become a butterfly, if you want, what's next? And that's something that is there to stay. Yeah. Whether that could be, I still take two career coaching sessions a year. Those are free for alumni. Yeah. There are so many events if you want to change career later on in your life. There are courses, there are electives, totally affordable, by the way. It's not another thousand and thousand. No, so it's the network is. So I don't know how to have a great final line, but for me is what stays after those 2 years, and you can realize these somehow, in hindsight once you are in. But I didn't find other business school investing so much on the alumni. I didn't find other business school with so many students clubs, or with so many electives. This is such a rich offer of electives, and I was really amazed at how I could send an email to my professor maybe years later, and they still remember me.
Yeah.
and respond, and we can have a chat, a call, or yeah. So that support is there. It's like a diamond. It's forever.
Well, if I'd asked your classmates, they would have had a one-word answer, and they'd have looked at me and they'd have said, Matt, carbonara. But just perhaps not a one-word answer, Rachel, but very, very briefly as we close. I had started this session by saying, you're my point person for this program, but there's an incredible team. So our viewers, they're interested in, Stefano's extraordinary experience, this wonderful LBS Exec MBA, just a couple of great ways to connect with the school.
Sure, thank you. So I guess the first suggestion that I would definitely make is, if you're very much still at the exploratory phase, I would say attend as many events as you possibly can, virtual and in person. We have very frequent open evenings, I say very frequent quarterly open evenings in London, in Dubai, and we have our EMBA Global Experience Days over in New York as well. So I would say, if you're looking to explore the programs, attend one of those if you can. We normally have a faculty masterclass where you can learn from the best, and really gain the experience, and really get a feel for the classroom and how dynamic and how diverse it is as well. So I would say absolutely do that as a first point. If you've decided, actually, I know that now is the right time and I want to explore this further, or if you would like your profile to be reviewed, you can reach out to me directly on LinkedIn. I think pursuing an EMBA is an incredibly personal journey, and because of that, we like to try and meet every single person who is planning to complete an application. We're very fortunate, as a negative of the job, that we get to travel quite frequently as well. So keep an eye on the website and you can see when we're in your region. You can sign up for a coffee chat, or you can join us for one of our networking receptions as well. But yes, you can reach out to me directly on LinkedIn, or you can contact me directly via email. I'm sure we'll be able to share details after that as well. And we can have a virtual call, we can meet for a campus tour, just really explore the program in further detail, and really tease out those elements of your application as well.
Well, you love to meet every single candidate, and we've loved meeting both of you at this Centre Court event. Your passion, that enthusiasm jumps off the page. It's been a very personal journey for you, Stefano. Thank you for taking the time to share it with us, Rachel. It's always a thrill to be connected with you. So thank you, both of you, and watch out for those LinkedIn requests coming in.
Yes, I wanted to say thanks, Matt, for having me. And of course, if someone wants to reach me, there are no other Stefano Maifreni on LinkedIn, so I'm easy to find.
Perfect. Thank you very much, both of you.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Take care.
Bye.